Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News in Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Anita Anand and with me is Renuka, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Tony Abbott, Special Envoy of Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, meets Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Ibrahim Raisi is sworn in as Iran's new president. India summons Pakistan charge the affairs and lodges firm protest over violent mob attack on a temple. India to be moved from the red to the amber list of UK's international travel list from Sunday. UK becomes dialogue partner of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. Bangladesh joins Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, CDRI, and the Tokyo Olympics, India's ace grappler Ravi Kumar Dahiya creates history, clinches silver medal in 57 category of wrestling. Men's hockey team snatches bronze medal, beating Germany 5-4. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is underway, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 0112397846 and 1075. And now, the news in detail. Tony Abbott, the Special Envoy of Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi on Thursday. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said they had a good conversation on ways to further strengthen the comprehensive strategic partnership between India and Australia. They also discussed the steps needed to energize the trade and economic relationship and boost people-to-people ties. Mr. Abbott is on a 5-day visit to India from 2nd of this month. Mr. Modi and Mr. Abbott emphasized that enhanced economic cooperation between India and Australia would help both countries better address the economic challenges emerging out of the COVID-19 pandemic and would also help in realizing their shared vision of a stable, secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. The Prime Minister expressed his satisfaction at the stellar growth of India-Australia ties in recent times and admired the important contributions of Prime Minister Morrison and former Prime Minister Abbott in this journey. Mr. Modi also recalled his virtual summit last year with Mr. Morrison and reiterated his desire to be able to host PM Morrison in India as soon as the conditions permit. At the leaders' virtual summit held between Prime Minister Modi and Australian Prime Minister Morrison on 4th of June last year, the bilateral relationship was elevated to a comprehensive strategic partnership under which India and Australia committed to encourage expanded trade and investment flows for mutual benefit and decided to re-engage on a bilateral comprehensive economic cooperation agreement. The External Affairs Ministry said the present visit by Mr. Tony Abbott is reflective of this shared ambition.
Ibrahim Raisi was sworn in as Iran's new president during a ceremony in the parliament on Thursday. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will be on a 2-day visit to Iran. Spokesperson of India's External Affairs Ministry stated that Dr. Jaishankar is currently in Tehran to attend the swearing-in ceremony of the president-elect Ibrahim Raisi. During his visit, Dr. Jaishankar will call on the president and on the sidelines he will also meet other leaders. The External Affairs Ministry of India summoned Pakistan charge d'affaires and lodged a firm protest expressing grave concerns at the incident of violent mob attack on a Ganesh temple in Rahim Yar Khan in Punjab, Pakistan. India has called upon Pakistan to ensure the safety, security and well-being of its minority communities. Replying to a media query, Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said incidents of violence, discrimination and persecution against the minority communities, including attacks on places of worship, have continued unabated in Pakistan.
The mob attacked the temple, desecrated the holy idols and set fire to the premises. In addition to attacking the temple, a mob also attacked surrounding houses belonging to the Hindu community. Incidents of violence, discrimination and persecution against minority communities, including attacks on places of worship, have continued unabated in Pakistan. Within the last year itself, various temples and gurdwaras have been attacked, including the Mata Rani Bhatiani Mandir in Sindh in January 2020, the Gurdwara Shri Janam Sthan in January 2020, Hindu temple in Karak in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in December 2020. These incidents are occurring at an alarming rate, while the state and security institutions in Pakistan have stood by idly and completely failed in preventing these attacks on the minority communities and their places of worship. The Pakistani Chargé d'Affaires in their High Commission here in Delhi was summoned today afternoon, and a firm protest was lodged expressing our grave concerns at this reprehensible incident and the continued attacks on the freedom of religion of the minority community and their places of religious worship, and calling upon Pakistan to ensure the safety, security and well-being of its minority communities. Today is actually the second anniversary of our efforts towards building a new Jammu Kashmir. And as I just outlined in our statement, recent incidents in Pakistan have yet again demonstrated how that country blatantly tramples over the rights and the safety and security of its minority communities.
India is closely monitoring the evolving security situation in Afghanistan and continues to call for an immediate and comprehensive ceasefire. India supports an Afghan-led, Afghan-owned and Afghan-controlled peace process. Briefing media this evening, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said that the issue of Afghanistan will be deliberated in UNSC on Friday. He said India will share its vision and perspectives on Afghanistan. He added that India looks forward to productive deliberations on this important issue.
India has been supporting the government and people of Afghanistan in realizing their aspirations for a peaceful, democratic and prosperous future, where the interests of all sections of Afghan society, including women and minorities, are protected. We are closely monitoring the evolving security situation in Afghanistan, and we continue to call for an immediate and comprehensive ceasefire. We also, of course, support an Afghan-led, Afghan-owned and Afghan-controlled peace process.
The death certificate of the Indian student Amar Nagsen has been issued by Chinese authorities. Prasar Bharati Beijing correspondent reports that necessary work for repatriation of the immortal remains to India is being done. The autopsy of the deceased was completed on Tuesday, and an official from the Indian Embassy in Beijing went to Tianjin, 100 kilometers away, to coordinate with local police and authorities to secure an early release of the body. On Tuesday, Chinese Foreign Ministry said that Nagsen's death was a homicide and a foreign student had been arrested in connection with the murder. On Thursday, the ministry told Prasar Bharati Beijing correspondent that they cannot reveal any further details as the case is currently under investigation. Several questions about the crime remain unanswered, including the motive behind it, nationality of the student, and whether the university had done or is doing enough for the safety and security of foreign students staying on campus. Chinese Foreign Ministry response further said that relevant Chinese departments will maintain communication with the Indian side regarding the repatriation of the dead body and will cooperate in the aftermath. Despite the serious nature of the crime taking place on the campus of a reputed Chinese university, Chinese media has been silent about the case so far, a week after the incident. Earlier this week, Chinese Foreign Ministry said that Tianjin Municipal Public Security Bureau received a call at around 8 p.m. on 29th of July saying that an Indian student was lying on the floor of the dormitory with no sign of life. Nagsen, hailing from Gaya, Bihar, was enrolled in the International Business Studies course at Tianjin Foreign Studies University, TFSU. He was one of the few Indian students who remained in China through the coronavirus pandemic, while most of the 23,000 Indian students who left for home in early 2020 were stuck in India and unable to return due to Beijing's reluctance to lift visa restrictions. Currently, no flights are operational between India and China.
Meanwhile, the Biden administration deferred the removal of certain Hong Kong residents who are present in the United States, giving them a temporary safe haven. In a statement, the White House said that the action demonstrates President Biden's strong support for people in Hong Kong in the face of the ongoing repression by the People's Republic of China. It added that the U.S. and its partners strongly oppose China's wielding of the national security law to deny basic rights and freedoms, assault Hong Kong's autonomy, and undermine its remaining democratic processes and institutions. The UK has become a dialogue partner of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. In a statement, the UK government said that Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab joined a virtual ceremony with ASEAN foreign ministers where they welcomed the UK as an ASEAN dialogue partner. It added that the partnership, which is the first ASEAN has agreed in 25 years, will lead to closer cooperation between the UK and the region on a range of issues such as trade, investment, climate change, the environment, science and technology, and education. The statement added that dialogue partner status puts the UK at the heart of the Indo-Pacific. The UK will work with ASEAN and its members on key shared challenges such as maritime security and transnational crime, boost our economies through trade, and strengthen our cooperation on issues such as COVID-19 and climate change.
Now let's take a look at the coronavirus updates from around the world. India will be moved from the red to the amber list of UK's international travel list from 4 a.m. on Sunday, the 8th of August. In a statement, the UK government on Thursday said that it will continue to cautiously reopen international travel. The shifting of India to the amber list means that visitors to Britain will have to quarantine at home or in the place of stay for 10 days. Such visitors will also have to take a COVID-19 test on or before day 2 and on or after day 8. Persons planning a visit to the UK must take COVID test in the 3 days before their travel to England. COVID-19 pandemic continues to claim an even larger number of lives in Bangladesh as Thursday recorded a new high in deaths in one day. According to the latest bulletin issued by the Director General of Health Services, DGHS, 264 people died and 12,744 new corona-positive cases were reported in the country over the last 24 hours on Thursday. Taiwan on Thursday thanked the United States for agreeing to sell 40 howitzer artillery systems in a $750 million deal. Taipei's foreign ministry said on Thursday that it was the first major arms sale announced since President Joe Biden took office in January and would help the island maintain a rock-solid self-defense and regional peace and stability. The move comes amid strained ties between China and the U.S. In today's Hotspot section, we take a closer look at these developments and more. In conversation are Skand Ranjan Thayal, former diplomat, and Simran Sodhi, journalist.
Ambassador Payal, when we see this confrontational relationship between the United States and China, how do you feel this affects the world overall?
It seems that since 1980s, China has been following a very shrewd strategy of using the American technology and American markets for its own growth, its own economic development, and its own power. And they kept on doing it, and world thought, West thought, America thought that gradually as the economy advances, China will become a more democratic polity. That has not happened. And since 2008, we have seen, and particularly since President Xi Jinping became leader of China since 2012, it is very clear that China has embarked on a policy of dominating first East Asia, then Indo-Pacific, and then the world. And in the last 7-8 years, American strategic thinkers and the world at large have understood the Chinese long-term designs and the Chinese long-term objectives. It is very clear with this 100th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party and all the statements which have come from Chairman Xi Jinping and others that China sees itself on a roll, on an unstoppable path of development and taking the number one place in the world. So this will have huge ramifications, not only for the neighboring countries, not only for the United States, but for the entire world.
Ambassador Payal, we also see that when Donald Trump was the president of the US, the confrontation between China and the US almost seemed at its peak, with President Trump being very vocal about his critique of China. And there were a lot of expectations that with a change of guard in Washington, with President Joe Biden now in Washington, D.C., we might see a reset of the US-China relations. But do you feel that has happened, or do you feel that with Biden as president, we do see a continued tense and a very complicated relationship with China?
President Joe Biden is an old veteran of foreign policy. He has been in Senate for almost 40 years and was also heading the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. So it is very clear, if you look at the statements issued before President Biden became president or after by his main foreign policy lieutenant, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and NSA, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, it is very clear that in their minds, whether it is a Democratic party or a Republican party, they have realized that the main threat to American way of life, American dominance, American superiority in technology, in trade, in military comes from China. They have fully realized it, and what President Trump has started by imposing sanctions on China, President Biden has not removed those sanctions. He has continued those economic sanctions. And even in other theaters, if we see South China Sea, if we look at Indo-Pacific, if we look at West Europe, and again we see that President Biden's policy is as tough, as realistic, and as pragmatic as was of President Trump. And I will also add that in the National Security Council, the director for China is a professor of Indian descent, Dr. Rush Doshi, and he has written a book called The Long Game, China's Grand Strategy to Displace American Order. The name of the book itself is very revealing, and President Biden has appointed him as director of China in his own National Security Council. I think that says a lot that the Joe Biden administration's policy towards China would be clear-eyed, and they will very clearly, very consciously, and very deliberately try to contain the rise of China.
So how does this play out for India globally when you have to deal with the US, you have to deal with China, but both of them are in this tense confrontation?
Unfortunately, India has been a target of China's expansionist policies, and all successive governments of India, starting from Rajiv Gandhi's visit to China in 1986, have tried to have some kind of cordial relations with China, keeping the border situation frozen and trying to normalize relations in other areas like trade or investment, cultural relations, students going there. But since Doklam crisis and last year what we saw in eastern Ladakh, it is clear that China has reneged on all the agreements since 1993, like the Peace and Tranquility Agreement on the border, whole host of other arrangements, and it has embarked on creeping expansionism, trying to push Indian formations, Indian military posts, Indian patrolling back from the line of actual control. And we have to deal with this, we have to confront this, and we have to look for allies and friends in this contest, or in this, if it becomes a confrontation. And there we find that we have strong and powerful friends like United States, like Japan, like Australia. They are coming in our support, and this is a reality. Yes, Quad is a reality. Yes, China is very much against Quad, and they have called it a Asian NATO. That is understandable. But what is more worrying perhaps for India is that even Russia has not fully understood the compulsions under which India has joined Quad. And there, our diplomacy, our leaders, we have to do more to fully get Russia on board that whatever we are doing, it is a defensive position and the aggressive action is coming from China.
It seems that the US is now building its own ties with Taiwan. But China refuses to give up what it calls its hold on Taiwan or the fact that it belongs to China. Do you feel that Taiwan has the potential in the future to become a point of great tension or greater tension between the US and China? And how does the world then resolve this? Because Taiwan has the potential to become this flashpoint in a relationship that is already very tense between the US and China.
China says that there could be a one country, two systems solution, that Taiwan becomes part of People's Republic of China, but can continue to have its own democratic polity. But after China has crushed democracy in Hong Kong, the people of Taiwan have fully realized that if they join People's Republic of China, they will have to come under the boots of the Chinese Communist Party and democracy will not be there. So they will resist, but they are a country of 20 million people. So they can resist only with the help of friends like United States. There is a great potential of a confrontation there. And I don't think it is likely to happen soon, but in the years to come, that will definitely be a major flashpoint between China and the United States.
Mr. Tayal, we also see a very interesting development in the fact that we have seen, and this news has just come out, that India is going to send a naval task force to the South China Sea this month. And this is to expand security ties with friendly countries. And it also signals India's intent then to play a bigger role in regional efforts to counter China. How do you see India stepping into this tense relation? Because India also is now slowly coming to a point where it kind of is pushing China back more aggressively than we have ever done so before. Do you feel that the fact that we have the Quad today and we have the US, which is wanting to push China back a little, we see an India which is more confident of taking on China then?
In any relationship, it is important that not only our friends do something for us, but we also look at their concerns and show our support. And in the recent months, in the last 1 year, we have seen that, of course, America has had many Navy task force visits in South China Sea under their Freedom of Navigation program. But we have seen the British HMS Elizabeth would be there this month. Japanese ships have also been there. And it is good for us to show our support for the freedom of navigation in South China Sea and to challenge the Chinese totally illogical claims of the 9-dash line that whatever is there within that 9-dash line in South China Sea belongs to China. So in my view, it is more a symbolic visit. And in the years to come, Indian Navy's main responsibility would be to secure Indian Ocean and to ensure that the sea lines continue to remain open and free. So for operational purposes, in my view, perhaps the Indian Navy will be more focused on Indian Ocean. But for symbolic purposes and to signal our support to the questioning of the 9-dash line by all the Southeast Asian nations like Vietnam, like Philippines, like Malaysia, it is good to send a naval force there for symbolic purposes and to show our friends that we are with them. But in my view, not for operational purposes.
And we will continue to follow this relationship between the United States and China and how it affects other relationships on the global stage. With these comments, we bring today's discussion to an end. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. India has expressed happiness that Bangladesh has decided to accept its invitation to join the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, CDRI. CDRI is a coalition of national governments, UN agencies, multilateral development banks and private sector which aims to promote resilience of new and existing infrastructure to climate and disaster risks. In a letter written to Bangladesh Foreign Minister Dr. A.K. Abdul Momen, Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar urged Bangladesh to implement the recently concluded MOU in the field of disaster management, resilience and mitigation on a priority basis. He expressed the hope that these mechanisms will help the two countries to remain better prepared to face such challenges in the future. Dr. Jaishankar also stated that capacity building, learning from each other's best practices, as well as extending support to each other is the need of the hour.
Moving on to sports, it was a mixed bag for India at the Tokyo Olympics. India got 1 bronze and a silver medal in the 57 kg freestyle wrestling and hockey, respectively. Indian grappler Ravi Dahiya secured a silver medal as he went down fighting the reigning world champion Zavur Uguev of Russian Olympic Committee in the freestyle 57 kg final by 4-7. However, Deepak Punia's quest for a medal ended as he was beaten by Miles Amine of San Marino by 2-4 in the 86 kg wrestling category quarterfinal clash. President Ramnath Kovind congratulated Ravi Kumar Dahiya for exemplary win and bringing glory to India. In a tweet, Mr. Kovind said, India is proud of Ravi Dahiya for winning the wrestling silver at Tokyo Olympics. Congratulating Ravi Kumar Dahiya on winning the silver medal, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that he is a remarkable wrestler and his fighting spirit and tenacity are outstanding. He said India takes great pride in his accomplishments. In women's category, there were also disappointments for India as Vinesh Phogat lost her quarterfinal match to Vanessa Kaladzinskaya of Belarus 3-9, and Anshu Malik's quest for bronze medal ended as she lost to Rio Olympics silver medalist Valeria Koblova of the Russian Olympic Committee 5-1. Earlier, the men in blue scripted history with their hockey sticks as they defeated Germany 5-4 to win a bronze in Tokyo Olympics. With this, Indian hockey's 4-decade-long wait for a medal ended. India were 125 for 4 wickets against England in their first innings when rain froze early stumps on day 2 at Trent Bridge, Nottingham, in the opening cricket test of 5-match series. India trailed by 58 runs. Earlier, England were all out for 183 runs in their first innings on day 1 yesterday. England captain Joe Root won the toss and elected to bat first.
And now let's take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Washington Post reports that Biden told White House chief to seek Harvard legal scholars' guidance, leading to reversal on evictions. Wall Street Journal writes Exxon considers pledging net zero carbon by 2050. The Guardian reports that environmental impact of bottled water up to 3,500 times greater than tap water. Sputnik News posts Biden to set goal of 50% electric vehicle sales by 2030 on Thursday. Financial Times quotes Moderna to say COVID vaccine 93% effective 6 months after second dose. And Gulf Times reports that UK moves Qatar to amber list, easing COVID-19 travel restrictions. And a quick look at the headlines once again. Tony Abbott, Special Envoy of Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, meets Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Ibrahim Raisi sworn in as Iran's new president. India summons Pakistan charge d'affaires and lodges firm protest over violent mob attack on a temple. India to be moved from the red to the amber list of UK's international travel list from Sunday. UK becomes dialogue partner of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. Bangladesh joins Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, CDRI. And at the Tokyo Olympics, India's ace grappler Ravi Kumar Dahiya creates history, clinches silver medal in 57 kg category of wrestling. Men's hockey team snatches bronze medal, beating Germany 5-4. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let's listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Croatia. with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.